Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where we're switching things up a little bit today. Got a new little background here we're trying out, and also we're going to do news first with our good friend Pete Wilson, and then talk basketball second.
I think that's how it's going to roll today.
I think it is. Pete Wilson has on his red shirt. It's very Ironmen-esque.
Right. Yes. So the big news is, before we go into the regular news, is, world pretty much came to a stop there during Winter Storm Blair.
Yeah.
But the Jackson City schools, although they are on a 2-hour delay, are in session, and I understand that tonight's basketball game, which I have my red shirt on, is going to take place.
Okay.
It's Jackson versus Washington Courthouse. And, there isn't anybody who probably gets more discommoded by a winter storm like this than athletic directors.
Yes.
Because, you're making
kidding.
adjustments because you're not playing. Then you're trying to reschedule. You're trying to let everybody know. You're trying to see if it's okay with the higher ups, all that. Coordinating,
it's a whole thing.
Coordinating with the coaches. So hats off to all of our 4 athletic directors here in our Jackson-Vinton area. But Waylon Massey, first of all, he rescheduled the game that's supposed to be tonight. It was supposed to be tomorrow night, but something else is going on tomorrow night. You know what that is?
The Ohio State
Yes,
game.
you got it.
I was like, what?
It took you a little too long.
Yeah, sorry.
But they changed Friday.
I lost all track of what day it is.
They rescheduled Friday night's game to Thursday night and pushed it up a day. So we can have varsity basketball, fans, players, that also want to see the Ohio State game,
well, of course.
Be able to do both. So tonight's game, we understand that Washington Courthouse is in school today. A lot of the schools are still closed.
Yes, they are.
For the 4th straight day. But Washington Courthouse is in school, and apparently the game is on.
Okay.
So it'll be very timely, when Dan Morrow comes a little bit later here in the hour, and we sit down and talk some basketball, mostly Jackson basketball, but we'll try to cover the waterfront there too.
Wonderful.
But anyway, speaking of the winter storm, Jennifer, this is something that just affected everybody. People, to different degrees, of course, considering their personal situation.
Yes.
But let me tell you, we were discussing off the air, just before we came on, how it's affected you. You live out on Standpipe Road, just a little bit out of town. There are more remote areas, but still, you got to get out of your driveway and come on a county road to get to work. You felt like this was the worst you've dealt with in the years you've lived there. But officially, this Jackson County, Jackson, Ohio, made national news. In that,
it did?
Right, it did on Tuesday. I believe it was on Tuesday or late Monday. Fox News on one of their weather alerts where they were talking about Winter Storm Blair, because this affected 7 states. Okay,
yeah.
7 states. They were talking about the top snowfall in each of the states that were affected. And in Ohio, the top snowfall was reported to be in Jackson, Ohio, 12.8 inches.
Well, I believe every inch of that.
Right, and I've seen, on Facebook, the official and unofficial accumulation amounts. And, it is going to vary. Not the same amount is going to fall in every spot. But anywhere from 7 to 13.5 inches, I think people were claiming. I think I might have seen a 14. But wherever Fox News got their information, I'm sure it's official, 12.8 inches. And I think WSAZ, which, of course, a lot of people listen to in our local area, they were reporting 10 inches in both Jackson County and Vinton County. So it was in that double-digit neighborhood. And Jeremiah Shaver, of course, who is a Telegram multimedia journalist, often out on the front reporting on disasters and wrecks and all that stuff, he said that in 2016, in his younger days as a newspaper videographer, he reported a snowfall that was about 12 inches as well. So we go at least almost 10 years back. I remember one in the early 90s that was actually in April that was 12 inches too. That didn't last very long because it happened in April.
Yeah.
But you were around. I was certainly around. I was just in college then. The 2 winters back to back, 1977 and 1978. 77 for snow and extreme cold, 1978 for the famous blizzard that hit in late January.
Oh.
Maybe the most famous storm we've had, or at least one of them, in all that time. But where we stand, up to date on the weather, is that Jackson County is on a level 1 snow advisory. That means, you still don't go out and go anywhere you want or as fast as you want. It's going to be really cold for the next several days, so it's not going to melt very easily.
No.
You might scrape it, but there's going to be a coating there, and it's going to freeze over probably repeatedly, even if it's cleared. Vinton County, Jennifer, is still on a level 2 snow advisory. And the more remote the road is, the less traveled it is, the more problems you're probably going to have because of snow and the fact that it's just not worn down or packed down.
Yep.
But all the schools in our local area, and when we talk about our local area here at the Telegram, we're talking Jackson County, Vinton County. All of our local schools are closed except the Jackson City schools, and they are back to school today on a 2-hour delay. Okay. So, of course, the schools were already all out for Christmas vacation. And so, a long break there. So we'll see what happens if everybody goes back to school tomorrow. But you got to remember, it's, on your more remote roads, and this is a rural county. Many more people live outside the cities than inside the cities. It's a different animal for them. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, a tough decision to make.
It is.
If in Jackson, Superintendent Phil Howard, when we posted on our Facebook, when we learned late yesterday afternoon that Jackson would be going back to school, that's when all the other schools except Wellston had already made a decision, and they were out. So that puts Phil out there on the proverbial limb a little bit.
Sure.
Some people saying, "Okay, way to go, Phil,"
thank goodness
and other people saying, "Are you nuts, Phil?"
Right.
So
you can't win in that situation.
No, and talking to superintendents, including Mr. Howard, who I find always very forthcoming and honest.
Yes.
He says it's probably the toughest thing to decide every time.
I can see that.
Every time, because it is the proverbial no-win decision.
Definitely
You can
not.
make strong arguments either way, whether to be in school or not school, when the conditions are not exactly right.
You got it.
But anyway.
All right. Well, before we get to news, Pete, we have a message that we have to get to.
Let's do it.
And then we'll be right back.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
We will certainly do that. But when we have an event like this, whether it's a snowstorm, windstorm, power outages, flood, whatever disaster, if that's not too dramatic of a word to use, it's certainly good to be alerted to the situations. And that's what Nixle is.
Yes.
If you don't know what Nixle is, you need to know that, because this is information that you want to know. Whether it has to do with a road being closed, whether it has to do with electric power, whether it has to do with a storm warning or whatever. It's a level, the snow levels that declared by the sheriffs in each county.
Yep.
You want to know that. And you know what? If you don't have Nixle, and most people, not all people maybe, but most people have cell phones now. There's some form of cell phone. You can get those Nixle alerts right to your phone. You don't have to go check any contact. It'll just pop right in there. So
sends it to you magically.
Right. And here's the best thing about it. First of all, it's important, but it's also free. It's not like, you're going to get a surcharge with your program or anything. I'm going to tell you how you can do Nixle. We're going to have an article that will be in Saturday's paper with this same information, by the way, and we'll post that for free on our website and Facebook.
Good deal.
But how this works is, if you're on the net, you can go to, very simple, Nixle.com, and Nixle is spelled Nixle, Nixle.com, and you can enroll through that. It's very easy. I think I did it, so therefore it's easy. Or you can do this. You can just text. You can text your zip code to the following number, 888-777, and you can enroll your smartphone or mobile device, your iPad, in that device.
That's right.
And you can enroll in other counties using different city or village zip codes as long as the sheriff's office or police department utilize the system. And I believe that most do these days.
Sure. And I know, just being in Jackson County, those alerts have come through and been so good for so many reasons, whether it be weather related or, like you said, there's an accident, God forbid, and a highway is closed or a roadway is closed. It's just nice to be able to have all that information so that you can make other plans.
Right. Sometimes it's very important to get that information quickly. And even if you're not in an emergency situation, it's a good thing to know.
Or there's a manhunt. We've had that happen too. So
it can be used.
All kind of wild
It can be used
stuff.
for a lot of different purposes. It has been used when there's a crime and they think that someone's on the loose and they want people to be careful, or they want information if anybody has anything.
Yes, absolutely.
So, it's modern technology, and we need to take advantage of it for info.
You've got it.
All right, we will scrape the snow away and go to some other regular news. And of course, we are in a transition situation, Jennifer. This is the first full week of January, which means that folks who got elected in the 2024 election, whether they were newly elected or reelected, are starting new terms of office.
Okay.
And in Jackson County, everybody that got elected was already in office. That's a kind of a strange situation.
Definitely.
I can never remember an election cycle in a presidential year, because that's when most of the county offices get elected in the state of Ohio. I can never remember an election cycle where there were no contests in the primary and no contests in the general election. I'm not sure it's ever happened.
I can't remember, and especially when you get commissioners and some of those, offices that are always contested.
Exactly, but the people that have started new terms or will later this year, most have already started, are as follows. You need to know who your county leaders are. On the commissioner side, you have Donnie Willis and you have Paul Haller. Both of them are have started new terms. Paul, of course, is on his fourth term, which ties him with Ed Armstrong for the most terms served. He will tie Ed Armstrong if we get Paul through the fourth term, and I think he's planning on staying.
Okay.
So congratulations to him. That's that goes all the way back to when Jackson County was formed in 1816.
Wow.
And he's in the same category, actually, just behind Sheriff Ted Frazier. Did you realize that Sheriff Ted Frazier has now served as sheriff longer than any other sheriff in Jackson County history?
Really?
Exactly. And he was sworn into office on the last week of December. This was a big deal. They did it down at his office, and he was sworn into office with his wife, who is Dr. Alice Frazier. She is the county coroner. And none other than Ohio State Auditor Keith Faber was in town to do that. And there they are. Of course, that's Dr. Alice on the left, Ohio State Auditor Keith Faber in the center, and on the right is a very smiling Ted Frazier. Now, sheriff is a tough job.
Yes,
and a
it
lot
is.
of times, when you're elected sheriff, you've already been in law enforcement for a while. I would think that that's one of the high-stress jobs, wouldn't you think?
Oh, I would definitely
even if
think
things
so.
seem to go smoothly and people like you, it's a tough job. Well, Ted has lasted longer than any other sheriff in history. As a matter of fact, his predecessor, John Chasteen, established a new record by serving 3 terms.
Okay.
Ted has now started his 4th term, so he is a record holder. And you know what he told me when I took this picture? He said that he's really excited about starting a 4th term, and that he thinks he may do another term or 2 if he gets elected.
I think the cool thing about Sheriff Frazier is he gets out and works it too.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just he doesn't sit behind a desk and
that
I'm not saying that other sheriffs did. I don't know, but I know that I see him out and about all the time, and I think that's kind of cool.
He is usually out on the front line, and let me say this, as a person, as a news person who has to make contacts, and then on the type of things, law enforcement, fires, or whatever, you're trying to find out quick, on what's going on, so you can get the word out. Sheriff Frazier is remarkable in that he answers the phone when I call. I know sometimes when I call at a bad time, it's going to, go into voicemail or where I might get a text back or something like that. He almost always answers the phone, even if he's at the scene of a very tense situation.
He's really working hard. And
no, he says, "Well, let me call you back. This guy's got a gun." Something like that.
I swear, one of the funniest things ever was one day I was in Athens, and we have a doorbell camera thing, and it popped up and said someone was at the door, but where I was, I didn't have a good enough connection for it to come through. And so I told Jamie, I said, someone's at our door. About that time, Sheriff Frazier, my phone rings. It says Ted Frazier. He's like, "Hey, I'm on your front porch." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, we pulled someone over and he ran into your yard. Is it okay that I look for him?" I was like, "Yes,
by all means, yeah.
Please
look under the bed if you need to, right?"
And it was just so, and I thought, wow, I mean, that's some service when the sheriff is standing on your porch and he calls you just so you're not concerned, and why he's walking around your house.
Right. And, I want to
go inside. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not on the Ted Frazier reelection campaign committee now, but I want to give credit where credit is due. What you said about him being a proactive sheriff as far as being out there on the scenes when, he could hang back or whatever. But he's also very supportive of the community in a lot of ways. Yep. And I tell you what, he's very genial in what would be a high-stress job. You wouldn't mind somebody if they were, a little short or preoccupied or
for sure,
or even a little defensive sometimes, but he always seems to have a smile on his face, very genial. So,
and he also has to mind his P's and Q's at home. You know why, right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Because his wife, I'm told, the coroner is the only person that can fire the sheriff, right?
Well, I tried to confirm that because I wanted to include it in my story. I couldn't find that, but yeah, I have heard that.
I have heard that numerous times.
I've heard that. The police chief, the prosecutor, whatever, supposedly they can't. I don't know, maybe a state attorney general could or something. I don't know.
I don't know. But he's got to watch it to keep the wife happy.
That's right. Well, that's typical, and that's
yes, in more ways than one, buddy.
But anyway, other county officials that are starting new terms, because we want to give them credit. I think we need to do this because when you don't have a contested election, that's when you say, "Oh, he's running for election. She's running for re-election." It kind of gets by you because you don't have to look at the ballot and figure who to vote for. But the people that are beginning new terms or continuing in Jackson County, in addition to the two commissioners we mentioned, Donnie Willis, Paul Haller, and of course Sheriff Frazier, prosecuting attorney Randy Dupree. This is his first full term. He was appointed early in this last term to replace Justin Levitt, who resigned to accept a state government position. So this is Randy's first full term that he has started. And he has been credited by the law enforcement and the criminal justice community with being an extremely active prosecutor in court, a lot himself, doing trials and all. So this will be his first full term. Also, clerk of court Seth Michael, recorder Krista Brown, treasurer Lee Hubbard, engineer Melissa Miller, and of course we already mentioned coroner Dr. Alice Frazier. So all those people are beginning new terms. The only elected officials that did not have to get elected this last term were County Auditor Tiffany Ridgway, Common Pleas Judge Christopher Reagan, Probate Juvenile Judge Justin Skaggs, and Jackson County Municipal Court Judge Mark Music. So we will keep up on that. If you're interested in this year's election cycle, we'll be hearing about that a little later. But in an odd-numbered year, you have kind of like school board. Some school board people are up to re-election. City council and village council people, at least some of them, are up for election. And township on the township side.
Okay.
You have trustees and fiscal officers. Some of those people will be up for election. Well, kind of like the grassroots positions.
Yeah.
So we'll be telling you about that. We already know that in the primary election, the Jackson City income tax issue will be back on there.
I have a question for you.
Ask away.
Should know this. I probably learned this in the 4th grade. When does the new president take office?
You mean U.S. president?
Yes.
It would be January the 20th.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't know that, but I was like, wait, it's past the first of the year. When does the new president take office?
I know sometimes the new terms are all over the map. For instance, Lee Hubbard, who got elected as treasurer, when he starts his new term? September. And so you ask why?
What?
It has to do with the cycle for tax collections, because it's like it would. That's when a new cycle would start, and they want to align with that. And the auditor is kind of in the same situation. I believe the auditor terms begin in March. I didn't have to look that up because this wasn't an election year. Last year wasn't on an election year.
Strange.
But most of them start on January 1st, or that first week of the year, or the first Monday of the year. I had to look it up, so it is all over the map. We'll go over the Vinton County officials, at another time. But the same situation. A lot of the same offices were on the ballot. Okay, we want to wind the clock back on some of the news that we haven't been able to report because we were kind of on hiatus there over the holiday break. Last Saturday night, we did have a fatality out on U.S. Route 35. It was on Saturday night. Did close the road down for a little while. That affects a lot of folks too. 10:45 p.m. A man by the name of Jason Fry, 46 years old. He's from Chillicothe. Ran off the road across the median into another vehicle. 18-year-old Luke White of Milton, West Virginia. Fry's car overturned several times. He ended up being killed in this wreck, or dying as a result of the wreck. The other folks who were in the other vehicle, thankfully, were not seriously injured. But that was the last fatality, actually the first fatality of the new year, because it occurred on Saturday, January the 4th. Okay, we've got Mr. Dan Morrow here now. I'm going to see if there's anything else I need to say before we bring him on here. I do want to mention this of Vinton County. Red Thompson Jr., who covers some sports for us, some regular news. He covers about everything we do in Vinton County. Worked very hard. He does something that I don't think I'd ever have time for. He does a year-end review of the news in Vinton County. Has to do a lot of research there at his desk.
I'll bet.
We had part 1 in Wednesday's paper, and he did a very fine job on it. And part 2 will be in Saturday's paper, and it is it's just in the past year, but you kind of forget what's going on. He gathers all this up, some of the top stories, and kind of brings it up to date and puts a nice perspective on it. So especially our Vinton County readers will be interested in that.
Very much, yes.
All right,
Thank you, Red.
Yes, let me see if there's anything else real quick that is time sensitive to tell you about. Of course, we do want to remind you that we will have basketball tonight.
Yes.
The Ironmen and Washington Courthouse, so I didn't put on my shirt for nothing. So, do we have a commercial, or did we just bring Mr. Morrow on?
We do have a commercial, and we'll get set up with another chair. So we'll be back just here in a second.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Okay. Sorry, we're trying to get situated here. Okay.
I'll squeeze in there.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, you
We're
have-
sharing space.
Absolutely.
You have 3 skinny people, right?
Well,
Sorta.
maybe 2 and me. And I just stepped
I'm
on Pete
skinnier
Wilson's
hair.
foot.
I
so.
just ran from getting a haircut at Kinder Cuts, left a
You
lot of gray hair on their floor. But Pam Mapes took good care of me and got me here in a hurry.
It is just glitter.
Yes, it is.
It's Dan Glitter.
It is. I'm well earned. It's well earned on there.
So we actually were going to have Coach Morrow, so your son Max, on this morning. He had a little hiccup and wasn't able to make it, so we'll reschedule him to come in, and it's always fun to have players and coaches on to talk about some of the cool things that they're doing and how they feel about the season, and of course the seniors, how they feel about being a senior and all of that stuff. But it's great to have the voices of the Ironmen, at least 2 of them, here with us this morning.
Sure
and
is.
We were wondering, what have you all thought about the season so far? How's it going? Where are we going to go from here?
Go ahead.
The season, we are 9 games in. In high school basketball now, you play 22 games in the regular season. That's all bumped up. It used to be way back 16 and then 18 forever and ever and ever. Then it went to 20 and now it's 22.
Okay.
So that makes weeks like this a little bit challenging because of the weather situation.
Sure.
We already had to cancel 1 game Tuesday night. We were to play at Alexander. That has been rescheduled for like the 25th of January on a Saturday afternoon. So we're going to get the game in, hopefully, if the weather is permitting. But we are 9 games into the season. Jackson boys basketball is 7-2. Feel pretty good about that record. They have won the games they could have won. They've won some close ones, some hard-fought games. They've lost 2 games. Both the teams they've lost to are undefeated. Believe it or not, Megs, which is a little bit of a surprise. You don't think of them as a basketball power year in, year out. They are outstanding this year. They're very tall, very big, athletic. Big's not everything, but when you're big and athletic, you're a little better than small and athletic.
Sure.
And so we lost over there, and we lost at home to Miami Trace, who is 10-0 this season. They happen to be centered around a young man who is a football player first, but he's 6'7", 295 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
He has been offered football scholarships to Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. I think we've heard of them.
Yep.
Penn State. Gosh, I'm trying to think. It's if you are involved. I think the only one that wasn't in the top 10 is Oregon, who's just way out on the other corner there. He's been offered by everybody. He's a very special player. But what's unique is he's not just big. He's very good. He has great feet. He has good hands. You can see why they want him to play football at that level because of his skills.
You think about, though, and these kids are young.
Yes.
And they look like grown men.
Yes. They look different than they did 25 years ago.
A little different.
40 years ago. Yes.
For sure. I mean, we were all scrawny little sad looking things.
It was different.
But you think about a kid that's 6'7", what'd you say he weighs
295. 295.
What is he going to be
and you
in
look
a year
now,
from now?
Well, that's as an offensive lineman, that's what all those schools think. What will he be in 2 or 3 years from now? He might have a lot of NIL money and transferred twice already.
Yeah, like
the way it is now. But it's just his upside is unreal. But he's a good basketball player. They've got a good team around him.
Sure.
We play them again at Miami Trace later in the year. We'll get into that. The FAC, they are the only undefeated team left in our league.
Okay.
Miami Trace, they're very good. So I think Jackson's doing great at 7-2 and competed with both Miami Trace and Megs, just couldn't get over the hump with them on there. But they have a very big game tonight. Pete just touched on it in the news. Mm-hmm. And how about Waylon Massey? He deserves some kudos to this because this game was scheduled for tomorrow night. And I keep forgetting, wasn't there something special going on tomorrow night?
There is something
that a lot of people are going to want to be home about 7:30.
Right, that creaking sound that you hear is people jumping back on the bandwagon after the last 2 games.
But the
Well said,
the
Pete.
Ohio
Well
State
said.
Buckeyes
Yes.
for tomorrow night against some team from Texas, but they have a very big game.
It's probably going to be a snow bowl, which is an advantage for us, I feel.
The snow will be on the outside, and it's going to be a headache getting to and from the stadium.
Yes, they
on
say
there.
it's
That
going to
should
be.
be
Is it
something.
an indoor stadium?
Well, it's the Cowboy Stadium.
Oh, they're playing at Cowboy
yeah,
Stadium.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's
So they'll
they
be in
got
good
the
shape
moldable the
inside.
roof, so they'll be able to control
Okay.
climate there.
I didn't realize
But they're
that.
very worried about getting people to and from the game.
Yeah.
I've got a cousin, Tom Conroy, of the Conroy family
Yes.
of Jackson. He is headed there. I'm very jealous of him. And he's taking his wife, who's not the biggest sports fan in history. So I'm sure her thought was on this deal, boy, go down to Texas, a couple
Yes.
nice warm
Some
days,
warmth.
some warmth, get out of, he lives in the Dayton area. I'll fly down there, and they're going to fly down to maybe about 8 or 9 inches of snow.
It's going to be way worse in Texas than
And in
anyway.
Texas, they don't do as well with snow.
No, definitely not.
How about a shout out to Mayor Randy Evans and all the people that work for the city? You guys have probably done that.
We have not, and we should have.
The work,
we're
those
just so
guys
far
have
behind.
been nonstop since Saturday when it started.
I've never
It's-
seen crews. I don't even know who these people are out there running
amazing.
around and throwing snow in dump trucks.
Yes.
And because you have to. What else do you do
Sure.
with it?
Oh, and it's
And,
piled up so high, but they have worked so hard.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
They never stop.
Never stop.
Yeah, these municipal, the county, the government, for sure, the state highway crews. But what about all the snow angels in the private sector? It might be a
Sure.
neighbor, it might be a contractor, it might be a
Absolutely.
businessman, because so many people needed help to get out,
You got it.
even from a driveway.
I
Yes.
still need help. Anyone wants to come plow my driveway, give me a shout out. Okay.
We'll maybe be there. Maybe not. Okay.
Dan said he'd come shovel all
Yes.
thousand
My
feet of it.
driveway still has my back hurting on there.
I'll bet.
Every spring, I say I'm going to go, when they're on sale, I'm going to go get a snowblower.
Uh-huh.
Haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But one of these days. But regardless, with the big game and everything going on tomorrow, Mr. Massey had the
Very
pre-site
smart.
to get hold of Washington Courthouse, who is obviously in that web of people that would be wanting to see the football game also, to see if they would consider moving the game to tonight. They were able to do that. So
Love that.
and I don't know how many teams are doing that, but it just shows you how big Ohio State football is.
Well,
that-
it does, but it also shows you how forward thinking Waylon Massey and some of the other
And you know, it
people
is
are.
interesting to say we want to see the game,
Of
and we want to
course.
see the Jackson game. We were be at the Jackson game and then watch Ohio State afterwards, but we get to do both now.
Yeah.
But you know what he said made sense. So many volunteers go into putting on a basketball night, and how hard is it to ask for volunteers
Right.
when you have Ohio State football coming on?
Sure.
They're not reimbursed, so they have an easy no. So it's much easier for him. I think it's going to work out great. So
Smart.
we got basketball tonight. Now here's one of the things we talked about the season. We are now 7-2. We play Washington Courthouse tonight at home. Come out and see the game. The roads in the schools, lots they
Oh.
have worked hard.
Yep.
You can get there. You can get there. After tonight, we have 5 straight road games. So this is a
Ooh.
tough stretch in our basketball schedule. So after tonight, we are at home tonight. We do not come back home until the 31st of January. So basically
Wait,
the rest of
what?
the month,
Oh my God.
we are on the road. Would love for people to come out and watch the team on the road. We're at Wheelersburg. That's always fun. At Chillicothe, easy drive. We're going to be on the air with that one on there. We're going to go over to
Awesome.
Chillicothe and broadcast. At Miami Trace, that could be for the FAC championships as far as who's going to be the front runners. At Greenfield, we're going to be broadcast that one. Then we're at Uniota, another easy drive over to Chillicothe before we get Hillsborough back at Jackson. So
Okay.
the boys are on the
Wow.
road. The girls, Chad Carpenter and our girls basketball team, they play Saturday night with Miami Trace coming to Jackson.
Okay.
So come out Saturday night. If Pete, did you tell us the weather is not going to be that bad, or
I think we have a chance of snow.
I know.
We
I
Especially
know.
on Friday, I think.
night.
Yeah.
We really want
Friday
to
night's
get.
a good night to go home and watch the Ohio State game and let it snow.
But the good news is, if we can handle 12.8,
we can handle
is
3 more
is
inches.
2 or 3 going to scare us?
Whatever.
Once
Yeah.
again, thank you, city, townships,
Yeah,
everybody that's got us ready to take on 2 or 3 more. But we're home Saturday night. We're on the air for that broadcast. And then, believe it or not, January, which I always think in high school basketball is the prime month when everybody gets through the holidays and they start coming to the games.
Yes.
We are
Finally, yes.
5 straight away games for our girls
Oh,
broadcast.
my.
At Greenfield, at Galplis, at Hillsboro, at the Eastern Brown Classic, and at South Webster. So if you want to see basketball in January and you're not going to travel, come out tonight for the boys and
Yep.
Saturday night for the girls. It's, they're going to be on the road for a while. And then we'll have 3 straight home games for the girls to finish their season. And the boys will go back home and away, and vice versa.
How are the Jackson girls doing this season?
The girls are
They're young, aren't they?
well, Coach Carpenter, when I had his first interview with him, he said, I use the term rebuild mode because the last 3 seasons, we have been the FAC champions.
Yep.
We had 4 young ladies that started from their freshman year on and just finished their career last year.
Yep.
2 have moved to college. 2 others have moved to college and are still playing basketball. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yes.
TJ Carpenter is playing at Marietta, doing very well. Maddie Walburn is playing at Otterbein.
Killing it.
They're doing great. But those girls dominated, for the last 4 years. So we've got a young team. He's got a team that has 1 senior, 2 juniors, 4 sophomores, and I think 6 freshmen. They are, as we said, getting better, but it's a tough road to hoe when you've lost all that. So they're 0-13.
Okay.
They're getting better. They're going to, play Saturday night. Then they've got the 5 road games, and they've got 3 home games at the end. We're going to broadcast all 3 of those home games, and we're just hoping
they're going to come around.
they're going to get better. They're going to get better. No question about it. And they're working hard at it, and they're great young ladies. And, we all go through those kind of moments.
Oh, absolutely.
But he is getting to play a lot of freshmen that normally would not play on the varsity level. That's got to pay off eventually.
It will.
It will
for
pay
sure.
off eventually. And Coach Carpenter does a great job. And Tyler Jeffers and Zoe Smith and his staff, they're working so hard at it. And it's fun to watch them practice. They practice really well. I mean, the girls are excitable. They really want that first win.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to get it. They're going to get it
They're
eventually.
scrappy.
But boys are different, little different story. A couple years ago, Coach Morrow decided to go with a senior, a junior, and like the next 5 players freshmen. And so they, I think they had a 12-12 year when this group of juniors were freshmen. Last year, Boston Campbell was a senior, and we had a whole bunch of sophomores.
Yep.
And we won 16 games.
Yep.
That was a really nice season. This year, we've got a whole bunch of juniors. We have 1 senior, Garrett Legg. He moved in from Piketon, and what a great young man he is. He came here to go to school, obviously, and to play baseball and basketball. So he's played a lot of baseball with our baseball kids through the summer. So he fit right in. He's a gentleman, a really nice kid. Got to interview him last game because he had a great game the last game against Fenton County.
Cool.
And
Double-double.
Coach Morrow, yes, Coach Morrow brought him up, so we talked to him. He's just fun young man to talk to. But, you got your other cast of characters in there, obviously, and they're just names we've seen now for multiple years. Stephen Jenkins, Charlie Woodard, Ryan Simetz, Bodie Wooford, Jax Carroll, C.J. Crabtree, soon to be Dayton Counter. These kids have played a lot of basketball, but they're underclassmen. So it's a neat thing.
Okay.
But, when you say names like, let's say Bodie Wooford, 3-sport athlete, everybody's heard Bodie, one of the great quarterbacks to ever play at Jackson already. Very good baseball player, but really good basketball player on the side there. Ryan Simetz, 3-sport athlete.
Yep.
Football, basketball, baseball, does it all on there. You have Charlie Woodard, football, basketball, track, good athlete, plays 3 sports. Now we do have a couple basketball guys, Stephen Jenkins and Jax Carroll are kind of basketball guys. But this is a nice class. It's really a class that has come through and competing, and they play hard. And I think if Coach Morrow brags about them a little bit, because effort's never an issue. Mm-hmm. They really play hard. Sometimes we're outmanned size-wise. We're never the biggest team out there, but they really are fun to watch. If you don't come out and watch basketball, and you're not going to get to if you don't come out tonight for a while.
You better get
unless
out
you're going
tonight.
to travel. But it has been a fun basketball season so far. And we're not halfway. We're over halfway with the girls, but we're not halfway with the boys yet. So much still to come. And tournament. And as Pete, as you'll mention, tournament-wise, it's all changed this year because they have gone to 7 divisions like football instead of 4. And so Jackson is a Division 4 team now. On there.
How small do you have to be 7?
Well,
the very smallest.
7?
Who is a 7? It's
that
not.
We would know.
South Webster's a 6.
I'm guessing Pike Eastern may be a 7.
Pike Eastern might be a 7.
Okay. I just wondered.
Yeah, it's the number of kids.
It's strictly based on.
Is it population?
Enrollment
in the school.
Well, that's what I meant. Enrollment.
If it's a boys team, it's the number of boys in the upper 3 grades. I don't think they've changed that.
You conceivably could be a girls team in one division, a boys team in the other, just because of the numbers. But we're Division 4 in both.
Gotcha.
And it's going to be a good division. That Meg's team is in that division. So for us to win, one of the things, Coach Morrow has been here now. This is his 10th year. Am I allowed to brag? A little bit.
A little bit, yes,
little bit.
Absolutely.
It's his 10th year. I happen to know things like that. He has won 127 games. Far and away the second winningest coach in the history of Jackson. Far and away the second longest tenure in Jackson history.
Okay.
The only coach ahead of him that's been here longer was Dave Fisher. Wow, what a memory. He was there till Pete and I's sophomore year. He was there 12 seasons, won 153 games.
Okay.
And had some really good teams through the years. But Coach Max has been there now in his 10th season. Took on a program that had been struggling a little bit. His first season, he only won 4 games, but he has kept us very competitive since then. He's won a Frontier Athletic Championship. Those don't come very often in Jackson basketball history. We've been to the district finals twice. Jackson has never won a district championship. You look at other schools. I mean, Oak Hill's won a state championship.
Yeah.
I mean, we would love to see a district championship someday. And can this team do it? They're well aware that nobody in Jackson's ever done it before. So that would be a great thing, this year, next year, sometime, a district championship. It would sure be a thrill to myself, to Pete, to all of us that have been around it for so long.
And proud father moment, too.
Proud father moment, sure is, sure is. But one of the things, and I want to brag about this gosh, I'm rambling.
You're
steal
good.
The show here.
Pete and I get to talk a lot on this show.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't have Max Morrow, who would know more than his dad?
Exactly.
Who is at every game, is at some of the practices, works through the summer thing.
Yep.
Played himself, coached himself.
Yep.
So
I think it's valid
I believe that you can talk.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, one of the reasons Jackson basketball has been successful, and there's a group of people involved, and it takes the village. What's that old saying? It takes a village to do something successful.
Sure.
They started a number of years ago a Jackson Youth Basketball League. There was really nothing real structured for our elementary kids basketball-wise. So administrators, the boys basketball program, the girls basketball program, they recruited Bob Grillo, Judge Grillo from Vinton County, voice of Vinton County.
Yep.
He came down, talked to him, because they had a very successful one up at Vinton County that he had headed up for years and years. But they started this up. It's on Saturday mornings. It encompasses first grade boys and girls all the way up to 6th grade. They start about 8 in the morning, and they get done around 3 to 3:30 by the time we clean up and finish up everything.
Okay.
Think of the effort on this. Now, the boys program staff and players, girls program staff and players get very involved. But the secret of this program is we have administrators that have bought in. And where else would you find this? Tyler Swackhammer, he doubles. His side job is principal of the high school.
Yeah, he kind of does that too.
Yes, these guys are so busy. Doug Wooten, Waylon Massey, that's our assistant principal and our athletic director. They're every Saturday. They have basically been the backbone of this program right now, amongst people even before them. But they work it so hard, dedication-wise. The coaches are up there, even though some of them have games on Saturday, they get there when they can.
Sure.
Tyler Jeffers referees every Saturday he can. He's the JV coach for the girls. I mean, it's just dedication like that.
Sure.
Volunteer program, but that is a little thing, but it's great the kids are playing. And if you go up to our field house on Saturday morning, you will think it's graduation. I mean, there's no parking spots. It's a great crowd. And they just announced, I just saw this announcement, the Youth Basketball League has made a little money. It's a nonprofit group. And all they do is they ask for sponsors, which how many times do we brag about sponsorship in Jackson?
Oh,
the way our businesses support our activities, it's unbelievable. Sponsors, and they put a bucket out there. You can walk in free, but they ask for donations.
Yes.
Kids pay a nominal price, but they get a T-shirt out of it. Basically covers the T-shirt on there. They have made some money this year, and they are donating 4 brand new basketballs to all 3 elementary schools.
Oh,
so I mean, just think of
that.
the neat stuff that is.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the positive things going on basketball-wise in Jackson. And so it is fun. Kids are working hard. We got them going. I help coach. My daughter-in-law is the head coach. I help coach a first grade basketball team. Wow. I'm the head coach of a second grade basketball team. Judge Grillo and myself helped coach a little bit of a traveling second grade team.
I'll bet that is a hoot.
Oh my gosh. Got one on, we all know Judge Grillo's stories.
Oh, yes.
And, yes. Got one on the 7th grade basketball team, which he plays tonight at 5 o'clock. Junior high plays tonight at 5 o'clock. 7th grade at 5, 8th grade will follow that. Then there will be the boys JV basketball and boys varsity basketball. So busy night of basketball tonight.
Sure.
So it's kept us busy, but it's been fun. And we love
Fun.
it.
Right.
We love it.
And when, Dan is talking about this youth basketball program, it serves 2 purposes. First of all, any kid can play. And so they learn the game and they get some recreation and they get some real instruction on the game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be exposed to it. Who knows, they may want to continue to play basketball. But the other thing that it does, which, the coaches are well aware of and the more knowledgeable fans, it sets a foundation for a basketball program.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a program like this, and maybe, there's not municipal recreation or whatever, or the school doesn't do anything like that, those kids may not get an opportunity to learn basketball in a team.
You
type
have to learn
organization.
somewhere, and you have to start somewhere.
Right. And if a kid in another town has that opportunity,
Yes.
what's going to happen, when the kids go into junior high or middle school,
Sure.
and they're played for the first time and they have to say, oh, that's a basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
how do
really-
I start this
So
thing?
who has the advantage
Sure.
there? So that's another thing that this program does.
Love that.
And I think Dan explained it very well, but it will not happen unless a lot of people give a lot of their own time to make it happen. And you should never take that for granted. And some of the people he mentioned and many more he didn't mention need to be thanked for what they're doing.
You got it. Absolutely. All right. Well, we do have to take another break, and we'll be back and wrap up our Jackson Ironmen basketball talk here in just a moment. All right, and we are back, and we are here again with our good friends Dan Morrow and Pete Wilson. Pete took off his news hat and put on his basketball hat for a moment, as well as his red shirt.
We're both ready for ball game tonight.
They are.
This just happened to be a Christmas gift, so I thought I better wear it from that head coach that I
Love
talk about
that.
occasionally, brag about occasionally.
Absolutely. And we are talking about Jackson Ironmen men's basketball, which they will be playing tonight.
So
get out.
6
and
o'clock,
support.
JV basketball will take place. Boys will play approximately 20 minutes after that, so you can assume probably about a 7:30 tip-off. Like I said, roads are clear. Come out and cheer these Ironmen on.
That's right.
They are headed on a 5-game road trip after this. They will not be back till the end of January. So if you're somebody that just comes to home games, get out there tonight. If not, follow us. They're going to be at Chillicothe, Unioto. Easy trips.
I was going to say easy places
Easy
to go.
trips. And,
Yeah.
it
And
is a
sometimes
fun
that's
team.
fun to go on the
It
road.
is a fun team.
On the road.
Girls, same way. Saturday night broadcast, basketball, home game, Miami Trace, Frontier Athletic Conference foe. One of the better teams in the Frontier Athletic Conference coming to Jackson. Iron Ladies trying to get that elusive W that we're so rooting for them so hard. But then
Yes.
they go 5 games on the road. And they aren't back till the first couple days in February. So come out and support these teams. They're fun. They play hard. We got great kids. We
Yep.
just got great
All
kids.
right. And, we're talking about the community support for the programs, especially, down low where a lot of people who don't have kids involved may not be aware of all that's happening. Another form of community support, in addition to the support clubs, which do so much, they allow a lot of things to happen that wouldn't happen otherwise because you think of the school and the humongous budget. The athletic budgets are not huge. A lot of things would not
No.
happen if there were not support clubs. And
Yes.
most of the sports, even the ones that, are not high attendance sports as far as spectators, they usually have support clubs so they can do the things that they do. But one other big support for Jackson basketball, which I know the head coaches know is important. Andy Hall, the football coach, Max Morrow, the boys basketball coach, Chad Carpenter, the girls varsity basketball coaches. Due to community sponsors, Jackson has a situation where high school and middle school students can attend games free of charge.
That is
that now the
unbelievable.
school I know that they facilitate that and they support that and they bless that. But it is community supporters. It can be businesses, individuals.
Shout out to Matt Walburn. He was a big push for that a couple years ago and got some support from the community, and
Sure.
the schools bought right into it. So
Brilliant.
our kids, when you come to one of our games, usually there's a great group of young people in the from high school age that sit right behind the bench, whether it be girls or boys, and they're cheering them on. And a lot of those kids wouldn't have that availability if
Love
they have
it.
to pay for a ticket. It's
Absolutely.
a great thing. And that is something I hope we can continue. But it's pretty special that we allow our students in
Money
free.
should never, ever, ever keep a student from going and supporting their teammates or classmates or whatever.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Football
So,
games
yeah.
down there, that far corner near the scoreboard. A lot of kids sit down there every Friday night on football games.
Yep, it's great.
There wouldn't be as many. if
Right,
they're
and-
Love
paying
it.
$5, $6, $7 at the gate.
And
It just-
typically the kids are the loudest boosters.
Well,
the
sure.
loudest-
They're cheering for their friends.
And don't think that doesn't make a difference, and it's magnified in basketball because it's inside. And that can make a difference, lifting the team motivationally, and it can get in the heads of the opponents sometimes. We
we had some cheers. I know in our high school days that were rough.
Let's use the term creative. They get very creative at
Is
times.
that what you would call them?
Yeah. Usually, if you're an administrator, AD, you're having to keep an eye on that crowd, but just so they
please
behave
don't.
somewhat.
Is that what they really said? Oh,
Yeah,
shoot. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, it makes a difference in
No, but it doesn't
basketball.
matter.
There's no official line on it, but Dan, I would say that the home court is usually an 8 to 10 point advantage versus an away or a neutral court.
It can be.
It is.
I could see that.
provided that you've got the support, of course,
you have
because
the kids there,
other
yeah.
teams can travel too, and some schools travel better than others as far as. But the fan support means everything.
Sure it does.
The noise, the motivation. You look over there and you see all those people rooting for you. You don't think that makes a difference?
Oh.
It surely does.
Absolutely.
Well, as a card-carrying Catholic, good luck to Notre Dame tonight. The first football game of the time.
Are we allowed to root for Notre Dame over a Big Ten?
I
team?
think I can. Yeah, I've never made any love lost for Penn State, so on there. I wouldn't mind an all Big Ten final. That would be okay, just so we have one in there for sure.
Yeah.
On there, but it's kind of neat. Notre Dame's helmets, they're pretty fun to look at. Those gold helmets are pretty neat. So.
No, I do think this college playoff thing has been kind of fun to see it unfold.
The whole season, it's been amazing how much more exciting it was just because so many teams at least were in the conversation.
They got a chance, yeah.
Instead of 4 teams, and usually you have 6 teams that were maybe vying for those 4 spots and everybody else is on the outside looking in. This was fun this year. It
was, and you don't have you do have some of the Dad and I used to call them the I don't care bowls. But you don't have now, I don't feel like, as many of the I don't care bowls.
Well,
there used to be.
I think it's the I don't care so much that you didn't care. There's been a lot of them.
There's been a lot, but there's also been some
tough.
really good.
Yeah. But neat
bowls.
little things like our MAC schools with OU, Miami, all those guys.
How about them?
Well, they've been great, and I think I think the MAC record is like 5-3 this year in bowl games. It's been a really good season for them.
Good job.
That kind of stuff. But boy, when it's come down now to the Final Four games tonight, tomorrow night, that's pretty exciting stuff. And we'll hope the Buckeyes can keep on their roll. They have been phenomenal.
It depends on what team shows up.
Yep. Well,
we'll
both sides.
See.
Texas too.
They're so good too.
Besides Texas' last 2 plays offensively, they looked pretty human the other day. But my gosh, they were spectacular when they pulled it out.
Yes,
so
yes.
It will be fun. But fun there. Last night, our Cleveland Cavaliers, I know there's not many NBA fans in Southeast Ohio. I happen to be one of them. Our Cavs beat Oklahoma in a fun basketball game. They're now 32-4. It's pretty amazing.
The Cavs
The Cavs. See?
You're right, exactly.
High State Buckeyes have won a double overtime game Monday night. It's been a fun week of basketball while we were snowed in. But now tonight, come out and watch the Jackson Ironmen play as we will take on Washington Courthouse, the Blue Lions. Head to Jackson tonight, so that game will tip off around 7:30, JV at 6. Come out and follow those Ironmen. It should be a fun night.
Right, and we've talked all about the Ironmen, and the 2 teams that beat them have not lost a game. Well, Courthouse, pretty good record.
7-5.
This is an important game.
Good team. They have an outstanding individual who's a junior. We've watched him come up. He's a Heathcock. This is the 3rd Heathcock to come through Courthouse lately. He's a very good player. He leads them in scoring, rebounds, field goal percentage, assists, steals, blocks. He's kind of a key player.
I believe he'll be in the scouting report.
He's in the scouting report. Pete does appreciate the head coach. We get privy to the scouting report, and Pete does appreciate reading that before the game's on there, and the detail that they go into. It's pretty amazing.
Right. That's part of the behind the scenes work, just not the practices. It's just not that these teams show up. Okay, well, let's see how that goes. You kind of have a plan defensively and offensively, and that's just not maximum. That's all the coaches. That's what they do to try to be successful.
You don't wing it.
No. Well, if you do, you're taking a chance.
Yeah,
Shout out Total Media. Thank you for all the sponsorship that you guys do to make efforts to bring us Wellston basketball boys and girls, Oak Hill basketball boys and girls, Vinton County basketball boys and girls, Jackson boys and girls, plus all the other stations that have come under their umbrella. It's quite the on-taking. I see Dylan sitting over there. He's felt that on there, but it's a lot of work to let people, listen, watch, hopefully be at these games and just support our kids.
Yeah. When you plug in your device, turn on the radio, turn on your stream. Don't ever take it for granted. There's a lot of work behind the scenes to get it on and then to keep it on.
Yes.
So
no doubt.
You've got it. All right. Well, Dan and Pete, thank you for hanging out with us this morning.
Jennifer.
It's always fun having you here, and we do appreciate you all for tuning in. So have a great day. Get out and see the Jackson Ironmen tonight. So that you can watch those Ohio State Buckeyes tomorrow and watch the snow fall again.
Don't say that.
Oh, it's just funny at this point. All right. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you right back here in the morning. Bye-bye, everyone.